Hi everyone all over the world. You're welcome. Enjoy my game, but I will analyze one game at the moment. Thank you. Enjoy. Hello. Good morning, everyone. It's Chiviti from South Africa. Mm, Today, I just wanna talk about the one of my best game I've played on lichess. I was playing. Okay, before I start, I was playing. My opponent is Brancolon. It's rated 23, 23 on lichess, online chess. So I'm rating 2100. So this is my best game because this guy is a highly rated player. Okay. In this game, my opponent chose to play e4. E4. Then I normally play e5, and that's why in this game I also played e5. But I'm not a c5 player. I don't play Sicilian. I don't play French. I don't know why, but maybe it's because I started playing chess using opening like Scotch or or e4. Sorry for that. So in this game, my opponent Brancoli played a4, and then I responded with a5, right? So he played bishop c4, right? Which looks like a Scotch game, right? Looks like a Scotch game, but was supposed to move the knight before. So the best response for this game, I can just play my knight to f6. I don't see any problem. I don't see any threat there with the bishop move. Or I can play the bishop if I'm not afraid of variations like events gambit and so on, right? Then in this game I played, can see even the computer is recommending knight f6, and I played knight to c6. The reason for that, I knew I want to transpose to Scotch game, so I played that move. Instead of attacking the pawn on e4, I played my knight defending this pawn. Then I responded with the knight, which goes back to the Scotch game, right? The Scotch game. I responded with the knight f3, right? So the best move for me here, if I play this one, it means I'm ready for Fred lever attack. If I play my bishop here, it means I'm ready for Evans gambit, right? If I'm prepared for those games, I won't have a problem playing those moves. But it depends on my opponent. How will he respond if I play those moves? So the complex my stockfish here is suggesting bishop c5, right? Which lead to events gambit if my opponent will have to play it, right? Then knight f6 is also an option, right? Or you can just play the pawn, right? Pawn d6, right, to defend my pawn so that I develop slowly. But I don't play such games because they're slow in development, right? So I responded with the bishop e5. The reason for that, I didn't wanna play I didn't want my opponent to play any gambit that will give me problems, right? So I decided, oh, it's fine, let me play a slow game, right? I know by bishop here, I'm preventing the knight g5, right? I'm also, even if you play g4 or play c3, I can defend those because my pieces are fine. No, the computer didn't recommend this move, but I know my op. If you believe you know your game, you can also do this. It's also a good move, right? Okay. So my opponent here, the best move that should have, according to me, are not h3 is. I don't recommend h3 because it's just a waiting move. There's nothing to that move. Even though the computer is saying it's the best move, castling, I can recommend castling, right? Or d3 or c3. They are also good moves depending on how good the opponent is, right? But I would recommend cancelling. Then my opponent instead, he played d4, meaning he wanted to immediately attack my center because he knew that I'm controlling this squares with two pieces, so he want to destroy this because f-queen to defend the pawn there. That is not a sacrifice, just an exchange, right? So here I will suggest not looking at the move, you take. There's no other way, you take. Because if you don't take, it means you will have to play d6, right? And d6 expose your queen there. It means the opponent can decide to exchange the queens, right? So meaning it will be a queenless game. It's also not bad for either side, but if you really want to go for a quick mate, it's very hard to go for a quick mate if you don't have your queens on the board. It means you'll have to go to the end game and so on. So the best move here is to take. Even the computer is suggesting you must take, right? So I took. He took with the knight, obviously. Unless if you want to play scotch, you can cancel. It's also a good move if you want to play scotch gambit, right? So, but I took, we took, right? So the next move here, is very crucial. Why? Because if I move the knight here, right, then we will have this move. Oh, it won't, right? It won't because I can take, right? I can take, okay, and take that one back. It means you can't move the pawn, right? But if I move this one, he can decide to take, right? I take with this one, then he can exchange the queens, right? And then push the pawn, right? Meaning he have what? He have this move is very strong because this pawn will control this square and control this square, and it will force my opponent to move the knight. Oh, it will force me to move the knight, right? It will force me to move the knight, attacking the pawn then. But it will just control some squares, right? It's a strong move, so I don't like that move. So um, instead I move d6. The reason I moved d6, I was preventing this move, right? It's just a move that you want to keep control of the center, right? Center is very important in chess, right? Okay, so my opponent here, he castled, right? He castled. I took the knight. The reason why I didn't castle, I took the knight, it's just that I hate having double pawns here because my opponent can decide to take. right? Then I will have double pawns. Then you'll be able to move the queen here, move the rook here, push the pawn. I hate those games, so I normally take, right? It's also suggested here. So I took, right? I took with the queen. And another reason why I took, I wanted this queen to be in a natural square. Just imagine that queen in d4. It's not in the good square, right? It's not in the good square, right? Yes, it's there controlling so many squares, but it's not in the good square. It's not a natural square for a queen to be there, right? Then I castled, right? I castled, then my opponent played h3. The reason play h3, I want to prevent my bishop from coming, but I won't come here because they still this move. I will move again to here, then my bishop won't be in the good square, right? I prefer having my bishop French in the diagonal that can attack the king side. Then I played okay before I played b7 b6. Computer is suggesting that I must come here, right? I must come here because next move will be me moving the bishop here and so on to make this queen move again. And then I'll move my knight here or here, right? Attacking this, but I'm an attacking player. I felt like let me have my bishop controlling this diagonal. Even though they say the starting position, the starting square of the bishop is the best for that bishop because it controls so many squares from that position, right? Fine, and you? Sure. So then I played here too to Franchetto my bishop, right? So I think my opponent saw that one. Then he played knight. I'm a bishop player, right? So he can take my knight there. He can take my bishop there. Then the next move will move his bishop to here to double my pawns. So obviously here the best move is for me to take this knight with an exchange, right? With an exchange. And that's what I did. Even the computer is suggesting that I was not using a PC. I took. You can't take with the bishop because you can't take with the pawn because you're blocking the bishop, right? You can't. You can't take with the pawn. So the best move here is to take with the bishop, attacking my rook there, right? Obviously, I have to move the rook. Computer is suggesting this move, right? Because if you take, I take. If he comes back, I go back, right? Or if we take, we also it will be an exchange, right? So okay, let's go back to the position. My position. I move my rook here, right? This is why I move my rook to b8, right? The reason I want to exchange bishops or move my bishop here to have more pawns in the center if we decide to exchange, right? So then from here for my opponent, because it's his turn, I will suggest, because obviously I will come with the bishop there. I was gonna suggest let me just move this pawn to f4, right? The game is still equal. Why do I have to move my pawn to e4? For me to have pawn to have more pawns attacking the king side, so that I also have this, I control also this square, right? Then, but my opponent and the counter is suggesting bishop f6. Bishop f6. Oh, that's for black. Means it was my turn, eh? Oh, my opponent moved this pawn. I don't know why I moved the pawn. Sorry for that. I don't know why I moved the pawn. It's just a waiting move. Because he was supposed to, because I moved my rook to here, right? I think the best move here was for him to move rook to e1 is also good, suggesting by a computer, or move the bishop, or queen d3, so that the queen can be in the natural square, right? Then, but my opponent decided, okay, let me just play a useless move. I don't know the reason, but I don't see any reason for that move. Maybe wanted to control this square. For what? Or maybe wanted to push, but it's not a good move if you push the pawn to b4, right? I move my bishop to d7. The reason for that, I needed to control more squares in the center. You can see this bishop can come here, right? Can come here, forcing this rook to move, or exchange. If you want to exchange, you block the bishop, or move the pawn. Okay, we talked about that. Then my opponent played uh, bishop f4. It seems like the computer is want my opponent to play queen d3, right? But it obviously didn't see the move. I moved the bishop, right? I didn't want to exchange the bishop. I played a5, right? This a5 is very strong because it's preventing this b4. And if my opponent decide to move this pawn, right, I can break it so simple, right? And I can also connect my pawns by pushing them with this bishop that I have on the d7, my light square bishop, right? Then he played rook a to d1. I want to control but that file is closed, so I didn't have a problem with him moving the rook to d1. Then I attack his queen. You can see this is what I talked about. This is what I've talked about. I'm forcing the queen to move off. You should push the pawn. And pushing the pawn is the best move, also suggested by the computer. I can see even the arrow here. So it will also be a good move, because if I decide to take, right, then we exchange. My queen will be pinned, right? So he did push the pawn. I took with the pawn, right? He can discover here because I'll take with the rook and defend my bishop. So he was forced to take, right? Was forced to take, right? So here, because I didn't, you can see this double pawn here, right? If maybe I don't take, he will take, then I will double my pawns, right? Then I decided, let me exchange the dark square bishops. Né? So his threat now is that this is pinned, right? This is pinned. So it's either I come here or I threaten the queen. One of those moves. And then my computer is suggesting b5, right? Suggesting b5, rook d2, rook d2, rook e8. Those are long variations. It's also good because if he comes here, and then I'll come here, right? If I move this and then he comes here, then I will come here, right? Then if he takes, I will take. So it means my bishop is defended very, very well, right? So but instead in this game this didn't happen, right? Go back to that move. In this game I moved the rook, threatening the queen. I moved the queen back, then I defended my bishop, right? Because I saw what he wanted to do, and also defending this square, because if my rook remains here, I can take and then win my. If I decide to move another piece or move this, but I can't move this because my queen will be exposed, right? Then he moved, pinning my bishop. I moved my queen, right? Attacking my rook. Then the best way to defend this, I can't come here moving the same piece again and again. I decided, okay, let me move my pawn. I'm exposing my king, yes, I know, with this check, take, and so on, right? Oh, check, then I come here, attack, those moves, but I can defend those ones easily, right? Then you checked, I move my king to safety, and then he attack my rook. I exchange. If you are being attacked, make sure you exchange to minimize the threat. He took back with the rook, right? Then I push the pawn. The reason I push the pawn is because that pawn was stopping me from putting my pieces in the natural position. Comsa is suggesting here to keep the threat, but my opponent played bishop. I don't know why, but this move was not so good. It's not a good move, right? It's not a good move. The best move was for him to come here. If I come here, it's fine. Let's exchange, right? Or he doesn't have to do anything. Can just because these pieces are still defended. You can do whatever you want, right? So okay, let's go back. Bishop b3. Then I defended this square because I didn't want my opponent to play this bishop in c2, right? Then he attacked my. The reason he moved this queen here, he also wanted to attack my rook, right? In case, but there was nothing. But my rook, I was supposed to keep on an eye on this rook, right? Then I moved my bishop back, right? Now I want to meet me, right? I want to meet me. His next move can be rook here. Move his he'll move his queen here, then bishop here. But Those were slow moves. Then I decided, okay, because they said the rook is dangerous when it's here. I decided, no, I don't want the rook here. Then we move. Exchange, right? He came threatening a mate, right? This is also possible. Yeah, right? It's also possible. It's nothing, but I decided, okay, let me defend with the queen. They came attacking. Okay. The reason why I moved my queen here, I was avoiding this, ne? If I come here, then he can come like this, right? I check, he moves, right? I check. It's also good. He takes, I take, then he takes. He will win the pawn, right? He will win the pawn. So meaning I will be losing, right? So meaning queen e8 was it was a good move for me, right? Computer is suggesting queen e8, right? Queen e8, computer is suggesting queen e8, right? Then queen h2, king h2, yeah. Computer is saying something else, but I was avoiding that. Or maybe let me see something. If I come here, then it comes here. What does my computer suggest? Suggest here, right? Then queen h2, right? And then suggest h5. Queen b8, check. Queen b8, check. King here. Queen capture, check. I think this move, this must be played by computers. I won't win this game if I play it like that, right? So queen a8 for me was better, right? Then he attacked my pawn, right? I defended my pawn, right? It's a good move. He's attacking my pawn. I move my pawn, my bishop back. They want to mate me with this move. They want to mate, but there's no mate. There's no mate. There's no mate because I can block with the bishop, and then from there it won't do anything. It won't do anything because you can't move the bishop. This queen will be exposed, right? Then I move the, for the safety, I moved h6 to h6. He checked, I block with the bishop. We move this queen back. Then I move my king to safety. Okay, this move was for him to push it until he can have his bishop here, né? So that my king remains there. So, but I said it's fine. Come with it. I move my pawn that was attacked to safety so that I open more squares for my queen. I think this was the best move. This was the best move because I'm also attacking this one. I'm also creating squares for my queen and so on. So in this, he moved the pawn. This is a blunder. As it's giving me a chance to take this, right? He can't check me here. If he checks, then I will be defended with the queen. So this was a blunder. Then, but I didn't take the pawn immediately, right? I didn't take the pawn immediately. I moved my queen to control more squares, right? He checked, I went back, right? So he attacked my pawn. The best way to defend this is queen here, right? I defended. Okay. And then he came here. It's another blunder. You know why? You know, it's allowing me to exchange this guy. I say it's not a completely a blunder, but I mean it favors me, right? It favors me because this gave me a chance to relieve the pressure by queen to e5 check, right? He exchange, right? Yes, my pawn is isolated, but now I can freely move my king, right? It's a blitz. He moved this one. It's a blunder because I'm taking this one, right? Still a balanced game, but I'm pawn up, which meaning my end game is better. My end game will be better because we'll keep on attacking this pawn, this extra pawn, and I'll also have a chance to move my king to take some other pawns that he can't defend because he's busy attacking my other pawn. Then, and if you can check, my pawns are all in dark squares, right? This is good for me in the end game. This one I can attack, this one I can attack, but his bishop doesn't have any target at all, right? So I checked him because I didn't want him to come here, right? Then if you move the bishop as Kumsa suggests, then I don't exchange because he will have a chance to take my pawn. Then he blocked, then I didn't take, I attacked his pawn instead. He defended his pawn with a I think the best move was for him to come back here. Maybe he will get a draw. Then it gave me a chance to move my king. I want to come here, right? So the best way to defend this, how will you defend this? How will you defend this? By attacking, right? You defend by attacking. If he comes my pawn, then I go for his pawn, right? You saw that one? He moved. He wanted to move this pawn first. But instead, he gave me a chance to move my king, right? Exchange, I can go for it. It's fine. Then it means I will remain with a pawn. I will remain pawn up for the rest of the game. You know, my exchange is better. My end game is better because I have pawn majority this side. So I move my king to be in more advanced control this square and this square. I mean, he can't move here, can't move here. He can't push this pawn either. You can see even the computer is suggesting that this guy lost. So he defended this pawn because he wanted to be able to maybe move his king and so on, right? Then I move the pawn. Now I want to have a pass pawn that side. He attacked, then I exchange. From here I was winning, I was winning from here. I'm forcing him to leave this side, that side. So I suggest here he must okay, he can attack here, as Comsa suggests, and take my pawn. But I will also attack this pawn. If he comes here, then I'll come here or here, attack these pawns. I think here is better. It's better. If e2. That's what he did, and that's what I did. He took, I took. From here, he's losing. It was a losing game from here. And game. I want to have his king here, and I can't because since I have the light square bishop. Unless if it was here, I was on my pawns were this side. Maybe I was gonna have the chance to come to this square. But since I have 2 pawns, then it was not a draw. And I with the bishop. Okay, you can't exchange because I will still crown. I can't sacrifice the bishop. Move, and I move that pawn. The reason I move the pawn, I don't want him to come here or here or here. I want him to go this side, this first. Unless if you move the bishop. Move the bishop. Still, this pawn is controlling so many squares. Okay, I want to control this square, but can easily move my pawn. Still, his king doesn't have a good square. If he comes here, it's giving me so many options. So it's forced to remain here. Move the bishop, block, pawn move, but I can easily move my bishop here or king here. I suggest king is better, but I move the bishop. He was afraid. From here I was winning. We just push. We can't take. Okay. The reason why I didn't push immediately is because he's controlling this diagonal. That's why I didn't push immediately. And this king is going nowhere, right? Waiting move. He doesn't resign, this guy. Then I pushed. If he comes here, I can just exchange and win the game. No? If he comes here, it's still the same thing. Still the same thing. If he comes here, then I will move my bishop here. Right? So from here, I think he resigned. I won on time, but was supposed to resign. Okay. Thank you. Do not forget to subscribe, and thank you again for watching. Have a blessed day.